Hey everybody, I'm Dave Stelzl, CISSP and author of The House in the Cloud, and I'm here in Richmond, Virginia today, getting ready to speak to a group of business owners about security. Now, I just got back from Madrid, Spain, where I spent a week with about 300 resellers of security technology. And a couple of polls were taken, and I thought it was kind of interesting. Half the group said that they lead with security, and half the group said they lead with more open-ended questions to find out what a client needs. So tomorrow's event is really, in a sense, a marketing event. But you know, neither one of those things strike me as the thing to lead with. Security products or open-ended questions. What does the person need? So what we're leading with really today in this presentation is education. Talking about digital asset protection, really security intelligence, if you will. You know, it's not really right to go in as a managed service provider or a managed security service provider and expect somebody, just because there's lots of bad news out there, to write a check and sign up for your program. What is right is to show them where the risk is and to measure it for them. So we have this thing that we'll be presenting called the impact likelihood graph. And if you've read my book, The House in the Cloud, actually it's on page, well, it shows up in a number of different places. Chapter 13 specifically lays it out. But then on page 194 of The House in the Cloud, you'll see a picture of it, the impact likelihood graph. It's an X and Y axis. And what it shows is how to measure the impact of any sort of disaster, and here we're really talking about cybersecurity type disasters. So somebody taking over all your computers and doing crypto mining, or ransomware locking you out of everything you have, or stealing your data, or internal misuse, or really anything that might be classified as a cybersecurity problem. Now all that really comes from the client in asking them, well, what happens if you get locked out of all your data? Or what happens if your systems get taken over? Or if you have to report that you've been hacked into to all your clients? Or some other disaster that affects your client base? That's the impact. But the role of the provider, of the technology provider, really is not to provide some technology, but to help them measure what kind of risk they have. See, if I can measure the risk, the likelihood that something bad will happen, and I can give that to what I call an asset owner, somebody who is liable for the data, then that gives that person the intelligence or the understanding that they need to make a decision about something. Should they take action given some amount of impact that they already understand versus some kind of likelihood that we need to help them measure? So that's really what tomorrow's about. It's about showing them what kinds of things drive up impact or likelihood of some impact taking place on some data that they care about, whether it's financial data or customer data or research and development or any kind of data that helps that company run or that company runs on. Remember, today's data is yesterday's oil. It is the currency that businesses run on today, and it really is the most important asset they have. But very few business owners have any idea what their impact likelihood graph looks like or what the likelihood is that they'll suffer any sort of disaster. So tomorrow's about educating. It's about showing them what it is they need to measure and then giving them the tools or a process to go measure it. No different than going to a doctor and having that doctor analyze your blood to figure out if there's some anomaly there that they need to check into further because some of the numbers look out of whack. And when they do, it could signal something really bad, like heart disease or cancer or something that is life-threatening. And that's what cybercrime really is. It's a life-threatening thing that many times goes uncovered or is not visible to the person who's running the business. And they look around and they think, well, everything looks fine. Until somebody who really understands comes in and analyzes the data or analyzes the blood in the doctor's case and comes back and says, you know what? There's a chance that you have a problem. Let's look into this further, and here are the steps you need to take to bring that risk down, and then here's how you maintain it forever. So that's what we're doing tomorrow. If you want to find out more about that, I'd recommend that you take a look at The House in the Cloud. It's a great book. It's written for salespeople. It's one of the only books on the market that is non-technical, written for salespeople, explaining how to help somebody understand what their risk is, and then what steps to take to follow it up to help them reduce that risk and maintain it over the life of the business. So again, I'm Dave Stelzl, author of The House in the Cloud, speaking here in Richmond, Virginia, and I hope this is helpful to you, and of course I think the book will be really helpful to you.